Alright, so I'm excited to say that more episodes of Steven Universe have dropped on the app, so I can finally review some more things to make this content a little bit more nerd friendly. And so we're going to first talk about Your Mother and Mine, which was the first episode that aired, and I really loved it a lot. So let's get to the review. This is Nick's Nerd Network, and I'm Spider Man. I mean, Nick. So I had to watch this episode a few times to really get the juice out of it that I wasn't sure I was getting at first. And so I ended up loving it a lot. I first want to start talking about I'm really glad that Steven's going back and visiting Lars because in the history of the show, sometimes when we circle back to a plot point, it could be a season or two seasons or hundreds of episodes until we come back to that point. So I'm glad that we're revisiting it. I realize that Lars isn't going to get home right away. It's too early for that payoff. We got to make them want it more. I am a little surprised though that Steven hasn't, that we've seen, has not brought Sadie around. I mean, she's very busy and preoccupied with the band, but it seems like that's been a lot of her motivation for feeling the way that she's feeling is that Lars is missing. So I'm surprised that she hasn't been there, but I'm sure that the Crewniverse is holding off on that until they can like really make you want it, and then they can have a really touching reunion because it's something that needs build to it. If we just got that right away, it wouldn't be as exciting. So Lars is starting getting impatient on the way home. They've been out in space for a long time. It's hard to tell because to us it feels like months and months and months, but really it could be a matter of days because the episodes are airing so slowly or so sporadically. But yeah, he's getting impatient. I mean, if I was trapped in a spaceship and it might not be as adventurous just as they're going home now because they've gotten away from Emerald. So he's probably getting a little bit of cabin fever. He's getting a little bit more annoyed with all the other gems, the off colors. I'm also glad that they addressed the size of Lars's hair and people being too big to come out of it. So I'm glad Garnet actually had to shrink down because I'd be afraid she'd like split his head open if she came out. This is something I've been waiting for since we met the off colors. I was worried that this wasn't going to happen, that Lars was going to fall in love with space and not want to come home, but I'm so glad that Garnet finally got the interaction that I've been waiting for with the off colors because there are fusions there and she's so passionate about fusions, and there really aren't any other relationships, romantic relationship fusions that we've seen that she's gotten to interact with lately. I mean, I'm sure there was tons back in the Rebellion, but she hasn't had those for thousands and thousands of years. So she was very excited and very casual to meet Rhodonite and Fluorite, very excited to see their relationships, and it was so great seeing her take all of these gems in, no judgment, and just really evaluating what makes them different. And I love that. That's what I love about the show. But something that I related to so deeply is when the off colors thought that she was making fun of them. They got immediately uncomfortable and they felt like sad because they're not used to that positive feeling or positive projection. They've been hiding out in caves, avoiding people because they've been treated and believed that they are monsters. And I relate to that because when I was first discovering myself as being gay or part of the LGBT community, I, though was developing some confidence in myself and starting to become more comfortable, I was still very withdrawn. It was very hard for me when I first moved to Columbus because I wanted to be around other people who had similar interests as me and other people who'd been through some of the same things as me. And being around them and seeing them so confident and happy and open and so comfortable with themselves, it was very strange, and it took me a while to adjust. And I think that's what the off colors, they're seeing Garnet, who has been this huge force and this confident force for so long, and they've got a lot of catching up to do, and she can teach them and lead them and make them feel more comfortable. I mean, sure, they've been together for a long period of time, the off colors, but they're still, we're in a place of feeling ashamed. So I'm glad that they address this. I'm glad it wasn't an easy interaction because they're going to have those kinds of feelings. So I really liked that they handled the topic of Rose Quarts because the off-color gems, they have lived their lives on Homeworld not knowing the truth, and they've been hearing all these terrible things, and it's understandable. Rose Quartz is like the bedtime story that, I don't know, elite gems tell the underlings to make sure that they behave. They don't want someone scary like Rose Quartz or a problem like Rose Quartz popping back up again. I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the episode because I had some further points to make. But let's move on to Garnet's depiction of how Rose Quartz came to be. So, starting off, I think that it's safe to confirm that Rose Quartz was made of the Earth and wasn't originally from Homeworld or another colony. Based on what they are telling us, I would assume that she's from the same kindergarten as Amethysts were from, because one, her hue seems a little bit closer to that. I could see some of the same minerals making up her gemstone as amethyst. I mean, they are both quartz, but in terms of color and components. Also, we've seen some examples of the Famethyst where they do have very curly, luscious locks of hair like Rose Quartz did. And the shapes of a lot of the other quartz soldiers that she was working with had very similar builds and hairstyles to Amethyst. Unless there's a different kindergarten that we don't know about, but to our knowledge that there's only two. The one Jasper was created in and the one that Amethyst was created in. So initially when we heard this recap, I didn't think there was a lot of new information to be found, but as I rewatched it, I got a little bit more out of it. She also, I thought it was surprising. I mean, we kind of knew this. She mentioned that she had loved other humans before. I was kind of surprised they addressed it in this, but it makes sense that not only was she in love with the Earth in a caring way, but she found romantic love, it seems, in other people before Greg. I wasn't sure if maybe there was like casual love interests before Greg, but they've painted it as if she had like former lovers in whatever capacity that would be for Rose Quartz, but romantic relationships with humans, which also feeds into why she was a crystal gem, why she was different than other gems. I also think that it was interesting. I assumed that most of the gems coming from the Earth colony would belong to Pink Diamond, but I also thought that I didn't know that all of them would belong to Pink Diamond. It makes sense. She didn't have an entourage of her own. I wonder if she started off with next to nothing, and then Earth was her main source of followers, or her main source of who was in her court. But I would have thought that they would like make quartz soldiers and divvy them up amongst the other diamonds, depending on their color or hue or their purpose. But it seems like they are all going to belong to Pink Diamond. That was something that wasn't confirmed. I thought that was interesting. And then Garnet comes and finishes the episode with Rose Quartz killing Pink Diamond in order to set all the other gems free, in order to try to turn the tides in the war. They're still sticking with that of like, I don't necessarily think that it's true that Rose Quartz, we're getting doubt from both sides, and it doesn't really make sense at this point that Rose would have killed Pink Diamond. But that's the recount of Garnet. So she was maybe told that by Rose, or told that by somebody else, or it's part of the legend. I mean, she was close and knew Rose Quartz, and I'm sure she didn't like talking about it. So that's pretty much a recap of what we didn't know that we did learn throughout this redescription of the beginnings of Rose Quartz. And I thought it was super, super interesting because, you know, they always say that when you're talking about there's two sides to every story and then there's the truth. I think that that's kind of what we're going to see. There's Homeworld's propaganda of Rose Quartz was evil, Rose Quartz was scary, and then there's the kind of the folk tale or the legend of Rose Quartz that was used to inspire other gems to join up, and that is that she was all perfectly good all the time, and she really had no flaws, and she was just this delicate, loving creature that ultimately also had the fighting skills and power to take down a diamond. So I think that there's definitely probably a little bit of truth to each side, but I think that we're going to have a very different answer when we finally find out what really happened to Pink Diamond and why Rose Quartz, or if Yellow Diamond or any of the diamonds had anything to do with Pink Diamond shattering. I don't think that Yellow or Blue intentionally would have in either case, just because of what we've seen. They miss her a lot. I also think that I'm glad that they had that conversation between Steven and Garnet about Pink Diamond and his flashback, because if Pink Diamond was gone, it doesn't really make sense for Steven to be having memories from this previous colony, because we assumed that maybe Rose Quartz was on this colony helping to care for Pink Diamond, or worked under someone else, or she was somehow there. But we can now see that Rose Quartz didn't exist when this, back on Jungle Moon, when that colony was created and Pink Diamond was having that memory. So the only way I feel like Steven could be somehow connected to Pink Diamond, I'm glad they like really spelled it out, that maybe, just maybe, she's alive somewhere or wasn't shattered or is being stored somewhere. Because if you think about it, Steven wasn't experiencing anything connected to Blue Diamond when he started to have her feelings and cry and picture and think about Pink Diamond. So maybe there's something else going on that Pink Diamond is reaching out or somehow connecting with Steven. That's really all I had for this episode. I thought it was a great episode. It really confirmed a lot of things that I think some fans were theorizing. But as the Crewniverse so often does, it also stirred the pot a little bit and pointed some directions at some other different fan theories. A lot of people are going to say that Rose Quartz is Pink Diamond. That's why Steven's having those dreams, or that Rose Quartz did kill Pink Diamond, or it's just... I appreciate the way they like stir the pot and really poke fun at the fandom. So that's all for this episode. I'll have more content coming out soon because we have 3 other episodes to review that all dropped so quickly. I really wish they'd spread them out. But this is Nick signing off. Have a great night, guys. If you like this episode of Nick's Nerd Network, please like and subscribe. If you have different opinions or would like to share some of your ideas, please share these in the comment section below. Please keep it constructive and friendly. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.